1986, we sank half the Icelandic whaling fleet in Reykjavik Harbor. And it was an interesting experience because we got called all sorts of names, pirates, eco-terrorists, whatever, but I couldn't get anything out of the Icelandic government by means of, well, are you going to charge us or what? I had to finally fly to Reykjavik and demand that they arrest me. And I was met at the airport by 150 police officers, and the chief immigration officer came up and he said, how long do you intend to stay in Iceland? I said, I don't know, 5 days, 5 years. You tell me. He said, well, we have to go for interrogation. I said, well, that's okay, that sounds like fun. Went up to interrogation. He says, are you admitting to sinking the ships? I said, come on now, you know we sank them. And we're going to sink the other two at the first opportunity. The next day they took me to the airport, put me on a plane and sent me back to New York. The Minister of Justice stood up and says, who does he think he is? He comes into our country and tells us to arrest him. Get him out of here. I still knew that to put me on trial would be to put the whole nation of Iceland on trial. So we're not criminals. They don't even get around to charging us, let alone convicting us. When we ran 2 Japanese drift netters in the North Pacific, the official Japanese position, it didn't happen. We had to put the stuff on Japanese television, only for them to say, while it was running, oh, that didn't happen. See, again, we're confronting criminals. But governments, when they're involved in criminal operations, are put into very embarrassing situations where they can't, you know, the only way they can do this is do nothing or deny it. But the other interesting thing in looking into human psychology is, after sinking those vessels in Iceland, I went back to Vancouver. I was doing a talk show host. I was doing an interview with a talk show host, and somebody called in a bomb threat to protest my violence, which I thought was a little strange. But we had to evacuate the building, and a reporter came up and said, well, Greenpeace just called you an eco-terrorist. What's your response? That's the last thing I want to get into. I said, oh, what do you expect of me, well, ladies in the environmental movement anyway? They've never forgiven me for that. Because John Frizzell, who was with Greenpeace at the time, he came up to me and he says, I just want to let you know that what you people did in Iceland was despicable, reprehensible, criminal, and completely unforgivable. And I said, who so? And he said, I think you should know what people think about that. And I said, you know, we didn't sink those whaling ships for you, John. Didn't sink them for Greenpeace. Didn't sink them for any human being on this planet. Sank them for the whales, John. Find me one whale that disagreed with what we did that day, and I promise you we will never, ever do it again. Our clients are those species, from plankton to whales, that live in the oceans. They are who we represent, they are who we defend, and quite frankly, we don't give a damn if people disagree with the way we go about doing it, because it is the whales out there that are suffering and dying, the seals that are being exterminated, the fish that are being totally diminished to a point where they may not recover. That's what we're fighting for. Quite frankly, a bunch of overly conceited naked apes in their opinion really doesn't faze me one way or the other, you know, because we are the enemy, and we met that enemy, they is us, and we is fighting us. So we're really trying to save this planet from ourselves, which really puts you in a rather difficult situation. But if you understand that the bottom line is to conserve and protect life as much as we can. Right now, the world's fisheries are in a state of overexploitation, which is to an extent which is absolutely mind-boggling. The amount of fish being taken from the ocean is absolutely incredible. And you know that more than 50% of the fish taken from the sea isn't even eaten by people. It is fed to our animals, to cows, to pigs, to chickens, to cats. All the world's cats eat more fish than all the world's seals. We have turned cows into the biggest aquatic predators on this planet. Cows are eating more fish than all the world's sharks are eating fish, because we're grinding it up into fish meal. The puffins of the North Atlantic are going extinct because we're catching the sea eels, the little fish that they eat, and grinding them up into fish meal to feed to chickens in Denmark. This is the kind of world we in. How perverted can you get to turn a grass-eating cow into an aquatic predator? And we don't even think about it. And we wipe out species without even, and then forget they ever existed. Gone is the sea mink, the giant hawk, the Atlantic gray whale. I could go on and on with lists, the stellar sea cow, the Carolina parakeet, on and on and on. And yet we just accept that the removal of these species and go on with it because we've become so involved with ourselves to the point where we have isolated and alienated ourselves from the natural world, where we think somehow that we're apart from the natural world, that we're some sort of divine creation. And we don't really care because after we die, we're going to someplace better. I wish that all of those people who believe that just slip their bloody wrists and get off the planet and leave it to those of us who actually love being here and sharing this planet with all of these other species. I don't believe we're the most intelligent species on the planet. I think we're rather stupid, really, because I measure intelligence by the ability to live in harmony with the environment. I was debating a whaler one time in Norway, and he says, "Watson, you say whales are more intelligent than people. That is a really stupid thing to say." And I said, "Well, you know, George, I measure intelligence by the ability to live in harmony with the environment." He said, "Well, by that criteria, cockroaches are more intelligent than we are." I said, "George, you're beginning to understand what I'm trying to tell you." But you know, we are spending billions of dollars searching through the universe in a quest to find intelligent life that we can communicate with. But we spend nothing trying to communicate with intelligent life on this planet. A non-manipulative intelligence, but an intelligence nonetheless. We measure intelligence by eye-to-hand coordination. If a blob of protoplasm stepped out of a spaceship with a ray gun, well, it must be intelligent. It's got technology. Whales, elephants, other large-brained creatures don't need that kind of technology. The human brain is 1,300 cubic centimeters. The brain of an orca is 6,000 cubic centimeters. And the largest brain to have ever evolved on this planet, the sperm whale brain, is 90,000 cubic centimeters. And all brains from mice to people are three-lobed, with the exception of cetaceans. Four-lobed, large brains, and the convolutions on the neocortex of those brains are far more pronounced and complex than ours. And yet we sit here and have the audacity to say that they're not intelligent. Anybody who's taken Biology 101 gets those little graphs. You know, here's the rat brain, here's the chimp brain, here's the human brain. And you can see as the brain gets bigger and the convolutions get more pronounced, that the intelligence level goes up and we're at the top and therefore we're more intelligent. You ever notice no biology professor ever puts an orca, dolphin, or whale there? It makes us look really, really stupid. So we choose to perceive it that way. All animals on this planet are intelligent. They're all intelligent in relation to the ability to live with the environment. There's so much that we can learn from them. Because we have to guide our life within the principles of the three laws of ecology. The law of diversity, that the strength of an ecosystem lies in diversity of species within it. The law of interdependence, that all those species are interdependent with each other. And the law of finite resources, that there is a limit to carrying capacity. And that when you exceed these laws, you go extinct. Every species on this planet that has not lived in accordance with those three laws has gone extinct, and we will be no exception. But again, we live in a state of denial. As the poet Leonard Cohen once said, we're locked into our suffering and our pleasures are the seal. We're all too busy entertaining ourselves to actually get involved without looking around and seeing what's going on. Lovelock last week came out with a report saying that by the end of the century the temperatures will have gone up 8 degrees. He said, "What does that mean?" They said to him, "What can we do?" He says, "Be prepared to live in a world at the end of this century with only 500 million people in it, because that's what it's going to be." And of course, we're not willing to accept that, so we'll just go on doing nothing.